Hello and welcome. My name is Dwayne Huff, founder and creator of Band Leadership Seminars and Band Leadership Online. And I'm so glad you joined me here today because today we're going to focus on overcoming one of the biggest challenges that we face, that you face as a student leader trying to lead your peers. And here's what it is. It is how to deal with failure and potential rejection. Because let's face it, when you're leading your peers, when you leave the section and now you become the section leader, or you're a section leader, or you're part of the band and you become the drum major, or you become the band captain, or you're in any position of leadership or authority, if you will, not that you really have any in the band director has all the authority. But anytime you go to lead your peers, there's a potential, especially as you're learning, that you're going to face a little bit of failure because you're learning, and that's okay. We should never avoid that, and maybe even some potential rejection, but I'm going to show you how to minimize that, if not completely avoid it. You know, most of the time, especially beginning out, you're going to make some mistakes. I know I did. 90% of everything I did as a student leader was absolutely wrong. Only 10% was right, and that was luck on my part, even though I had some great mentors. But I want to share some things with you in this session that are going to make your journey as a leader, whether you're a returning leader, a senior leader, or a brand new leader, or an aspiring leader, so that you can minimize this failure that you might experience or the rejection that you might incur, and make it okay and make it catastrophic, I guess you could say, right? So here's the way I want you to look at this. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you do that, because all the videos that I'm shooting for you will be fed to you every time that I release a new one. You can ask me questions, leave comments, and things of that nature. Another place you can do that is on Facebook.com/bandleadership. So both of them, YouTube.com/bandleadership, Facebook.com/bandleadership. And if you haven't requested my free video training that starts this whole series out, I shot it over 6 years ago and it's still serving band programs today. You can get it at bandleadershipseminars.com. So I think that's it. Please share this if you find some value in it and spread the word so that other people can benefit. But let's talk about dealing with the fear of failure and rejection, or dealing with that as a leader. And the way that I want you to perceive this, you know, in our society, especially when it comes to making grades and going through the school process, many times we want to look at success and failure as being on opposite ends of the spectrum. So in other words, we generally tend to think that failure is over here, on this side over here. And if I start going in a certain direction, trying something new, having a conversation, trying to lead my peers, and it doesn't go right, or I hit a wall, then many times I want to think, wait, I'm going in the wrong direction, or I'm doing something wrong. Let me turn around, do the complete opposite so that I can find my way to success. But that model is messed up. Unfortunately, in our school system, as we're going to get our grades, that's exactly what happens. If we're not getting the grade, it's because we're doing something wrong. We need to change everything so that we can get the A instead of the F, we can get the A, right? But in life, that model is skewed. And if we lead that way, or if we approach anything in life like practicing our horn, like leading our peers, like approaching our job, like relationships with the people around us, including our family and our friends, or just about anything else we want to take. If you're an athlete, you know this to be true. Then the model we have to adopt looks this way. We realize that we're here, and on the road to success, there are going to be some failures and setbacks. The problem is if we're not willing to go through those failures, setbacks, and temporary frustrations and look at them simply as learning and feedback, then we're never going to get to success. So here's what I'm here to tell you. As a leader and everything else you do in life, that there's only one path to success, and it runs straight through the failures, the frustrations, the setbacks. But I want you to look at them as failures. I want you to take them as feedback, as learning, as course correction, if you will, to get you closer to success. And the more failures you make, the quicker, the better you're going to get. Now, as a leader, This is going to work out for you if you have one simple thing in place. In other words, it's not going to be catastrophic if you run into a failure or a potential rejection if you have one thing in place that most people do not get or do not have readily available, and it's simply this: humility. Humble yourself. Now, I got to be honest with you and say, when somebody told me that as a leader, I pushed back on it. I said, no way, dude, because at that point, I thought humble meant thinking less of myself. Until one of my mentors pointed out to me, no, Dwayne, humble doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of yourself less. Meaning thinking of others and being humble enough to say, you know what, guys, I'm brand new at this leadership thing. I'm going to make some mistakes, and I give you full out permission to call me out, to let me know, and to help me to get better. But I'd also say that as we do this together, there may be some things that I point out, and let's just be transparent and honest with each other, non-offensive. We all have the best of intentions, but I want you to help me to get better at this, understanding that I'm going to fail. Is that cool? Humble yourself. Be very transparent. It makes you look human to the rest of your section or to the rest of your peers that you're leading. Now, I'll be honest with you and say, you're going to get some failure and some rejection. Some people are going to pick on you, they're going to make fun of you. Some people are going to criticize what you do, but if you will just keep going and get the feedback and be willing to push through the discomfort, you're going to meet with success as a leader in anything else you do. Think about playing your horn for a second. Think about playing your instrument or your percussion. If you get in the practice room and you simply try to play over and over and over again the things that are comfortable, the things you know, the things that are easy, will you grow as a musician? No. The only way you're going to get better as a musician is by taking the things that challenge you, slowing them down, bringing that metronome back to a very low pace, a snail's pace, and being patient enough with yourself to go through the process slowly. Being willing to play wrong notes, being willing to miss fingerings, being willing to mess up, and then going back and playing it over and over again at a slow pace until you can pick it up. And in fact, one of the greatest lessons I learned as a musician came from a band director of mine that not only served me in learning to play my instrument, but has helped me throughout everything in leadership, in my job, in my speaking, in shooting video, in doing live seminars for you guys, whatever the case might be. He simply said this: think about a piece of music. He said, Dwayne, to get in the practice room and try to play from start to finish on that piece of music at the tempo that's written on there will never get you any better, because what's going to happen is you're going to make it through the things that you play well, you're going to breeze through them, but you're going to hit the stumbles, you're going to mess it up, wrong fingers, it's going to sound horrible, you're going to miss notes, and then you're going to get to the end, and then if you continue to do that, you're not getting any better. He says what you need to do is you need to be honest with yourself, play through it one time, see where the problems are. And when you run across those challenges, take your pencil, which we should all have at all times on our stands, right? He said, take your pencil and then circle the parts that are giving you a problem. And then rather than spending your time in the practice room trying to play through the piece, every time you go into the practice room, take one of those pieces or one of those circles that you made, slow your metronome down to the slowest that you need it to, and then play through that problem area and keep playing through that problem area. And as you get better, pick up tempo, and then pick up tempo, and then pick up tempo. And before you leave the practice room, put it in the context of the tune and watch how you've improved that one section. Then when you come back to the next practice session, do the same until you can play that entire piece, right? And then play it up to tempo. Same thing happens with leadership or anything else you do in life. Trust me, everything that I've been through from learning my speaking skills. At first, I was horrible at doing this. I was awkward. When I would shoot videos, I'd have to do 10 takes to get one good video. Now I'm one take because I've done it time and time and time and time again. I've slowed it down. I've isolated. If I make a mistake, I keep going, right? And as a result, I'm probably coming through to you as someone who's passionate, genuine, enthusiastic, and just wants to serve. And that's exactly what I'm trying to communicate. But it wasn't always that way. But if I would have said, you know what? I'm shooting videos and they absolutely are horrible. Or I'm getting in front of people to speak and it's absolutely horrible. I must be doing something wrong. I would have stopped. And I would have never gotten better. And I would have never reached success. But because my mentors showed me that success is over here, and the only way through it is by the discomfort, by the setbacks, by the slowing it down, by the isolating it, by the making mistakes and receive them not as failure or rejection, but as feedback. I knew that if I kept going, I'd meet success. Here's my question to you. As you watch this video, do you perceive that I have some talent in speaking? Do you perceive that I have some talent in shooting video? And they're like, no. But if you do, it's because I didn't stop. I went through the discomfort and I pushed through until this became second nature to me. And I can tell you right now, through all my contemporaries out there who do what I do in this marching band space, nobody is better at doing this than I am. Nor will they be, because they're not going to invest the time, energy, and effort. And it's okay to be the best of the best if you put in the time, the effort, and commitment. But you know what? Somebody once said, you can't, what they say, you can't be good and be right. I said, yes, you can, as long as you stay humble. And that's what I'm asking you to do. And people know your heart. And as you're learning, if you will admit that you're going to make mistakes up front and humble yourself and laugh at yourself, your peers will be able to ebb and flow with you in those mistakes. You'll have less rejection, you'll have less failure, you'll have less judgment, and you'll have more people following you. But I want to put the icing on this cake and bring it home this way. Even when you're experiencing failure or perceived rejection, I want you to keep this in mind. Here's the reason that in any level, as a musician, as a leader, as a student, as a person, the only reason we experience rejection is for one simple reason. There's a couple of videos that I've shot where I talk about the why, what, and how. Anytime we come into a situation, there's a reason why that we showed up to that situation. For example, band, there's a reason why we're in band. If we can't get the reason why we're in band, we have to go find that elsewhere. So we stay in band because we're getting that reason. There's the what we're willing to give and take to have the experience we expect, need, and want. And then there's a how we see things playing out. And how will get us in trouble on our journey to being effective leaders, or to being effective musicians, or to being effective anything. And we have to learn how to let go of how we see things working out. And we also have to realize what we're willing to sacrifice, give, serve, offer, or give up in order to become effective leaders, musicians, or whatever we're trying to achieve. But we also have to hold firm. And the most important thing we always need to keep at the top of the mind is, why am I doing this? Why is this important? Why is this something that I've poured myself into it? And why do I continue to remain? I used to ask people all the time, I used to say, what would you do if you could not fail? So for a moment, think about that for a second. As a leader, what would you try? What would you accomplish? What would you be if you knew that you could not fail? But then I came to realize that that was a stupid question, because the reality of the situation is we are going to fail in order to become successful. So the question becomes this: what would you be willing to try if you knew that you were going to fail over and over and over and over again? You were going to get rejected. You were going to look stupid. You were going to be judged. But at the end of the day, you keep coming back because the why you're doing it was that powerful to you, and you just couldn't walk away. And that's what leadership is. It's realizing that we're doing something that most people won't. We're sacrificing things that most people want. We're giving more than most people will, and with that is going to come the failure and rejection. But if we let go of how we see it working out, we let go of the emotion and the pain of failure and rejection. I'll give you an example that I'm pretty sure you can relate to. I know when I was your age, in your space, and even to this day, I can remember it as a lesson, but I know you probably deal with this on a regular basis, or at least have seen a friend deal with it. Think about it for a second. Let's use the example of dating or asking someone out. Now, I don't know about you. Give me a second. Let me take a drink of water so I can keep going here. I don't know about you, but whenever I was in junior high and high school, I had just a ridiculous amount of fear associated with failure of asking somebody out, to the tune of anytime I liked a girl, whether it was in junior high or high school, if I liked a girl, rarely did I approach them myself and man up and just say, hey, I think you're great, would you like to go out? I was so scared that I wouldn't do that because I was so scared of the fear of failure. I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. I would get a friend of mine. I'd tell him that I was interested in a certain person, and I'd ask him, hey, can you go ask her if she wants to go out with me or likes me or would be one? And I would dread it for minutes, for hours, for days, however long it took for them to come back to me with an answer. And what I came to realize is I was always putting my fate in their hands because I was too scared to fail. I thought that if I failed, I was going in the wrong direction, and I'd never end up dating anybody, which would ultimately mean success for me. And then one day, I can remember, and it was in college, there was somebody that I thought was absolutely beautiful, wonderful, gorgeous, sweet, and I wanted to go out with her. And I was too scared, even in college, to ask this girl out. Oh my God. Anyway, so I didn't. So I ended up telling my friend, you know, hey, I like her. Can you go see if she likes me? Can you check that out? I mean, I'm freaking probably 22 years old at this point. I mean, this is ridiculous. But the fear was so real of rejection that I just couldn't bear it because I was holding on to how. And I'll tell you about that in a second. So he ended up going and asking this girl. He never came back and told me. He never circled back to me. Guess what I found out about a week later? He started dating her. Not his fault, my fault. Because I wasn't willing to go through the discomfort of potentially reaching success. And guys, I'm telling you, as leaders, you're going to have to go through a lot of this to be successful here. But it's okay. It's the only way to success. So let's think about dating here for a second. Now, I wish I would have had this wisdom back then, and way back in the day, I'd have saved myself a lot of headache and heartache in the dating process, and I wouldn't have been as scared of failure and rejection, and here's why. Think about this for a second. Why do we want to date people or get in a relationship? It's because of the payoff, the benefit that we think it'll give us. The relationship, the connection, the time, the fun, the emotion. Right? So that's a non-negotiable. It's the reason we want those relationships, right? But what are we willing to give, to ask for, to take, to give up in order to date somebody? Well, if you're going to date somebody exclusively, you have to give up dating anybody else. There's one sacrifice. What are you also willing to give up? Sometimes hanging out with your friends. Sometimes other activities that you'd much prefer. But what are you willing to ask for in return? Exclusivity, partnership, relationship, exclusivity, right? But with that ask and with that give on both sides, there's potential risk. And then how do we see it working out? If we get scared of fear and rejection, it's because we want to ask that person out, and the only success we're seeing in our mind is that they say yes, or that they want to date us, or that they want to go out with us. And if they say no, or if I just want to be friends, God forbid, they push us in the friend zone, right? Then we feel like we've failed. But let's think about this for a second. This was eye-opening for me. I wish I would have realized this in my teens. I'm about to save you a ton of headache and heartache. See, this isn't just about leadership. This is about life skills. And if you can embrace what I'm about to tell you now, your life is going to go to the next level, greater than you've ever thought in your relationships and in your leadership like you never thought it could. Because think about this for a second. We want the relationship, and we think dating that person is the way to get it. We're willing to give, take, ask, give in exchange for the success of how we see it working out, and how we see it working out as an exclusive relationship. But how many of you have ever been or seen somebody who's in a relationship far longer than they should have been? Have you ever seen somebody who's in a relationship they shouldn't be in? Have you ever been in a relationship that you shouldn't be in? Are you in a relationship that you shouldn't be in? Why is that happening? It's because you were so hell-bent on getting it your way that you sacrificed all, and now you find yourself in a situation you don't belong in. And you're miserable. Hopefully that's all you are. If you're anything more than that, get out, find help. But I digress. But think about this for a second. What if you would have said, you know, it's totally cool if she says no or he says no, because maybe I'm not willing to give that much just to be in a relationship, because quite frankly, they might be bat crazy. And you get on the other side of that, realize that they didn't want to date you, give it a few months or a few years, and you look back and you say, thank goodness I dodged that one. Have you ever been there? Have you ever seen anybody there? The reason people end up in those situations is because they won't let go of how they see it playing out. But think about this for a second. If you let go of how you see it working out, you know what you're willing to give and not willing to give, but you ultimately are able to get the connection, the bond, the time, the relationship, the emotion that you sought out in a friend versus a boyfriend or girlfriend. Are you not still getting the level of what you wanted without the hassle? So here's what I'm going to ask you. What if you're willing to let go of how you see it working out as a leader? Would you experience as much failure and rejection, or would you just take it as feedback? Would you then not have to give up more than you're willing to give in order to be effective, or not have to sacrifice too much of yourself when it's not necessarily, but ultimately get the reward of being a leader, of seeing people grow, change, advance, win, and still be able to get the resolve that you showed up to get? Don't find yourself in a bad situation because you're scared of failure and rejection. Realize that you have to go through that, but if you can take it as feedback and as adjustment rather than rejection, you can let go of how, and all of a sudden you find yourself getting the rewards that you expected, even though you make mistakes along the way, and you're able to deal with the potential failure and rejection as just another road to what you ultimately wanted to achieve. And that's how, as you grow and develop as a leader, as you're leading your peers and you make mistakes, if you're authentic and you're humble, how you can get everything you need and help them get everything that they need and be effective together, building community, building family, building team, and seeing you and everyone around you rise to the next level and watch your band performance come together and go to heights and levels you never thought you could, and you were the one responsible for facilitating that. Because you're inspiring superior performance in yourself, demanding a higher level, but you're also inspiring superior performance in your peers. So I hope that served you. If you have any questions or comments about that, leave them below the video. If you're on YouTube, youtube.com/band leadership, make sure you subscribe, or on facebook.com/band leadership. Make sure you like the page. And reach out to me at bandleadershipseminars.com and get those free videos if you haven't yet. And if you'd love to have me come to your band room to do a private event or private seminar for your band or for multiple bands, reach out to me quickly because those spots fill up quick, or my Band Leadership Online course, which you can get for as little as $47 a month. And there should be a link here that you can do that. But until we talk again, remember, you can inspire superior performance. You just got to humble yourself and be a servant leader, remembering it's not about you. It's about them, and the rewards is what you see them do collectively as a team, as a community, and as a family. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.